It is one of the most riveting, tender stories in all of Scripture. Hannah, thought to be barren, more than anything, wants to have a baby boy. But her husband, Elkanah, doesn't understand such deep longings. He, after all, has another wife, Peninnah, who has given him many children. And so Hannah goes to church that day alone. She goes to the temple. She goes there to cry, to fast, and to pray. She prays that if God would give her a son, she would give him back to God. Well, the temple priest, Eli, is observing this, and he thinks she's drunk. And so he tells her to skedaddle. But Hannah reassures Eli that she's not drunk, that she is just praying to God out of her deep distress. And so Eli gives her the priestly blessing that God would hear her prayer. This, my friends, is a story of a muted woman who finds her voice. She leaves the temple that day with a little pep in her step and with a little hope in her soul. And lo and behold, the miracle happens. She soon conceives and gives birth to a baby boy, and she names him. She names him Samuel. And then a couple of years pass, he's weaned, and so she is going to fulfill her promise to God. She returns to the temple with her son Samuel, and she gives him up, gives him to Eli to be raised in the temple as a messenger of God. And of course, we know Samuel goes on to become one of the great prophets of the Old Testament, who actually helps prepare Israel to become a great nation state under the rule of King David. This is truly a great story. And through all these scenes over the course of a few years, we get such a rich view of human life. We really tap into the human condition. And the message of this story, I believe, is that God brings new life in the midst of barrenness. God brings hope in the midst of despair. God always blesses God's people and never lets them go. And so in the end, we see God's gift to Hannah, and we see Hannah's gift back to God. It's a great message for this stewardship season, which begs the question for all of us today. What will we give to God in light of what God has done for us? I invite you to our church at Bellevue Presbyterian Church in Nashville, Tennessee. Worship every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. in person or on Facebook Live. We are inwardly becoming like Christ and outwardly serving our neighbor. This has been another 2-minute takeaway with Pastor Scott.